Hello, Shaun Attwood here. It's Saturday 28th of March. Loads of people asking me for an update on Wildman, T-Bone, and in general what's going on with the virus. And Wildman, he had the symptoms and he couldn't breathe and he was trying to get in hospital. They basically won't take you into hospital unless you're on the floor about to die. Unless of course you're Prince Charles or Boris Johnson. So he realised, well, he said that after going through that struggle he gave up, and he said, look, there's people that are in way more need than me that need those hospital beds. I'm just going to tough it out. And then a couple of days later he was fine, he was laughing about it. He said he beat it with cider, drinking copious amounts of cider. I did interview an expert on pandemics. That interview is going to be published tomorrow. And I joked about that with him, and he said there is something in the alcohol side of it to do with the virus. He explains it in the video. I'm not advocating drinking cider as a method to cure coronavirus. That was Wildman's technique, and wild by name, wild by nature. So, Wildman was going to do a video. He said he was going to do a video, how I beat coronavirus by drinking cider, just to give everybody a laugh. But then he took ill again, he's back in his bed, and he said he's too weak to do a video. So, we don't know if he's got it or not. He was showing the symptoms, but one thing about this thing is, people start to feel better, and then it drags them back down again. And there's the cold stage, the flu stage, and the pneumonia stage. And we know Wildman is not in the best of health. And it's for those reasons, it's going to really strike America hard. The diabetes is off the scale. And the numbers are showing right now that it's jumping up considerably. Now, I'm getting messages from multiple prisoners around the world. Prisons are locking down everywhere. All visits are being stopped. The staff are worried about catching it, and they're not getting much assistance. The prisoners are at the bottom of the social heap. Of course, they're not going to be getting the treatment if people out in the public area are dying and need intensive care spaces. So the prisoners are aware of this, and prisons have been seeing riots. 23 people died in a riot in Colombia. Multiple people died in Italy. There's been escapes. In Iran, they've let some of the prisoners free. Now, I interviewed a guy called Stephen Fellers on my coronavirus playlist about the situation in Italy, how dire it was. And he's just sent another message by email today. Hope all is good. As I have been saying and writing before things started to get out of hand, in Sicily, groups of people have now started to raid the food stores. Seems the mob is pushing the thing forward because the government hasn't kept its promise on helping the nation, and the European Union is taking its time. And when we saw gun sales surge in America, people are asking, why on earth would that be? Because these things can lead to social unrest. Prison escapes. Who's going to get out and guard the prisoners if they've all got coronavirus? If the people aren't getting their food, things break down rapidly. If anyone's watched The Road, Cormac McCarthy book, one of my favourite movies, it always makes me cry. But Dad and his son are just walking along this road in this post-apocalyptic world, and in some areas the food's gone, so in some areas like they're holding humans captive in the basements and carving them up and eating them. So the dad has got to protect his son from all of this. Oh my goodness, it's so stressful. The Road, Cormac McCarthy's The Road. Let me find, it's a good one to watch if you're locked down. Scare the shit out of yourself. Let me find some of the stuff that's coming in from T-Bone then. These people keep telling us lies, i.e. the prison guards, about who's got what, and now there's no more room in quarantine for anyone who is sick. God willing, they will let some of us go free. Let's hope. Wishful thinking. State of Arizona spends more on its on housing prisoners than it does on education. The prison system is an absolute goldmine for corrupt contractors scumbag legislators and politicians that just profit from warehousing people as human commodities, people like T-Bone. Here's another T-Bone message. Came earlier today. Peace, my brother. Shaun, this place is sickening. I'm at odds with a guy as I speak right behind me. It's taking all of God's power to keep me off him. He won't stop sneezing without covering his mouth. This place is going absolutely crazy. They say that 16 guys are being tested and no one knows how many are quarantined. But they're rolling guys up all the time because they're sick. Rolling them up means they're moving them to lockdown or a medical facility. And when I say a medical facility, we're talking bare bones. You know, they say there are 2 death rows in prison. People who are sentenced to die and people who are sick. And they're not going to give them treatment for anything. They're not going to spend any money on them at all because that would eat into the private prison profits. Shaun, I know you don't know this, but I remember I used to write inmate letters to medical to get help for people. The difficulty you went through was unbelievable and things haven't changed. A lot of prisoners can't even read or write, so I would write them medical requests in the hope they would get a prayer of being summoned to the medical unit. If you have got a medical request in prison, you have to beg a guard for a form. If he's having a nice day, he might give you one. Fill your form out, he's got to sign it. Then it goes through various levels of bureaucracy. Fingers crossed, you might get called out one day to see a doctor. That's how it works in the Arizona prison system. There's a saying, you ain't got nothing coming. You put yourself in here, you deal with it. That's the attitude when prisoners get sick. Frankie served 34 years, he got sick, didn't get the treatment, died within months of getting released. And I spoke to him on his deathbed. That phone call is actually on the YouTube channel. So I saw firsthand, I saw people with cancer. They give them an aspirin, say stop whining, have a nice day, go back to your cell. So prisoners are absolutely going to get wiped by this virus. Prisons are just rampant with disease. More than half the guys had hepatitis C where I was housed. Sharing dirty needles and tattoo instruments is rife. There was TB, there was MRSA. I saw the scabs and the scars from that MRSA stuff. Alright, going back to T-Bone. Know that I am walking in the Lord's grace. These people are cold. They know how crazy all this is and they want some of us to fall apart, to give up, just to roll over and die. The prison would rather, if you were sick, that you would die so they could get a healthy prisoner on that bunk. $50,000 a year of taxpayers' money if it's a healthy prisoner. Don't have to pay out for the medical costs. That's the mindset of those people. T-Bone is saying he needs our prayers and support. You have my love and respect, always remember. My friend, peace. I'm going to write a long description of what is going on in here. Each one teach one, strength and honesty, you'll embrace. Timothy T-Bone. So weeks ago, I started to post messages that were coming in from me from around the world. People said I was causing panic, and I was just causing preparedness. And now people in areas that were mocking and saying it was a hoax are starting to shit themselves because it's impacting them or people that they know. And these lockdowns are becoming more severe. So I just got an email last night from someone in the National Health Service in England. I'm a radiographer. We are being threatened with disciplinary action if we refuse to scan COVID-19 patients or suspected without safe protection equipment. We do not have personal protection equipment, PPE. No masks, only theatre masks, not sufficient. When this was raised and the concern raised, I was threatened with disciplinary and told I had to scan. When I verbalised that we could then potentially pass this on to other patients, this was ignored and I was told to trust policy. If you don't scan, disciplinary action will be taken. I'm frightened for my family and for the general public. Why are there so many public restrictions only for the hospital to ignore? And all that goes out the window as frontline staff could be passing this to everyone they come into contact with. Theatre masks do not filter particles. So when I was writing, giving you those original reports from people in Italy and Spain, and people mocking me and saying it was a hoax. People saying it's the flu's no worse than the flu. Only a dozen are dying. Only a couple hundred now are dying. I said, look at what happens when you double a number. 1 plus 1, 2, 2 2 2 4, 4 plus 4, 8, 8 plus 8, 32, 32 plus 32, 60. It's the rate of rise. Go on Worldometer. I'll put the link in the description box of this video. Look at the daily death graph. We are at 3,000 people a day right now, and it is continuing to climb. That is 100,000 a month on average, but it's going to be way more than that in April, because that 3,000 is going to be even higher. Yeah, China's gone over the beat. Like I said, put the fire out in one room, it moves over to another, and then all of a sudden the whole house is on fire, and then the street, and then the town. So it is spreading all over the world. Please watch my video, Did Coronavirus Come from Bats? It's going to be posted tomorrow, with researcher and author David Quammen. And what he's got to say, a lot of common sense, and he's given us two scenarios. The virus will mutate. It could decide not to kill off its hosts and mellow, because it wants the hosts to live so it can be in harmony with them, which is the best case scenario. Or it could mutate like a second wave of the Spanish flu and come back and wipe a lot more people out. But either way, this first wave is on the rise, and this thing is, we're going to be dealing with this thing now for at least a year to 2 years, he believes, and that's an expert. So again, not panic, preparedness. Yeah, the media are full of BS constantly, and I have been exposing media and political lies. But when the big one comes, and these pandemics have been coming for millennia, when the big one comes, it is time to take the necessary precautions. I don't doubt the government is going to use this to implement totalitarian measures around the world, and I am looking for further people to interview on that subject. We know they never let a good crisis go to waste. 9/11, Patriot Act, I'm sure stuff's going to come down, heavy stuff on the back of this. But let's not just go too conspiratorial. Let's take the relevant action so we can protect people in our community, especially the older ones, the people who are vulnerable, the people who are old and have pre-existing medical conditions, the diabetics and high blood pressure people, obesity, all the people who've got the factors, smoking as well, these factors that this thing could wipe them out. The wake-up call in this country was this week. 21-year-old, perfectly healthy girl, Chloe Middleton, it took her out. So the thing with it is, some people can get it mild, and you can say, hey, he's got it mild, I'm okay. And next thing, it could be taking you or one of your family members out. Alright, I'm almost at 400,000 subscribers. Huge thank you to everybody for the brilliant community that's been built around this YouTube platform. And I saw that with all the outpouring of love and support for Wildman. Eleanor, everyone, truly. And also, I just went today over 100,000 followers on Twitter. Weird going through 100,000 on Twitter and for almost 400,000 on YouTube. Huge thank you to everyone. I am making all of my books free over the coronavirus lockdown. Prison Time is free, just ending on Friday. Two Tonys, Mafia Philosopher is going to be free, commencing Monday, for 5 days only, to download on Kindle, ebook, Amazon. You don't need a Kindle to read it though. You can download the Kindle app and read it on any device. My TED Talks might be inspirational. I've done 3 of them. They're all on YouTube. One's called What Facing 200 Years Taught Me About Happiness. I just did a 1-hour interview of tips for coronavirus lockdown. That's coming soon as well. Thank you for all your suggestions of brilliant guests. Thank you for all people who donated, PayPal, Patreon, Just Giving, Subscribestar. Links in the description box. As are links to all my playlists that people are watching right now, popular ones, Royal Family, Jeffrey Epstein, Coronavirus, Wildman, he's got his own playlist, and the True Crime Podcast. Look out for Wilfred Wong, Monday night, 6 PM London time premiere, Jimmy Savile, Satanism. It's going to blow your minds. Alright, take care. Cheers from London. Thank you for watching.